Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast. Picture this for a second, right? You are on a crucial video call.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right, and you were literally exactly one sentence away from closing this massive cross-border deal.
The stakes are incredibly high.
Yeah, you deliver your final pitch, you pause for their reaction, and then just nothing.
It's the absolute worst feeling.
An agonizing 3-second silence. And it's not because they're rejecting the deal. It is literally just because your translation software is buffering.
Yeah.
By the time the translated audio finally hits their ears, the energy in the virtual room is just completely dead.
It is the absolute definition of everyday friction. you know? And it happens thousands of times a day.
Literally thousands.
Because we aren't just talking about those large, formal United Nations-style summits anymore, right? Where everyone has an earpiece and sits in a giant semicircle.
Right, the classic diplomatic setup.
Exactly. I mean, we are talking about your standard Tuesday morning marketing stand-up. Or, a sales engineer in Berlin trying to troubleshoot a highly technical, super urgent issue with a client in Tokyo.
Which happens every day now.
It does. The reality of the modern business landscape is that distributed teams simply cannot afford to have their daily operational momentum stall out just because someone needs a different language to fully participate.
Exactly, which is exactly why we are pulling this toolkit together specifically for you. Because if you are managing or working within these distributed teams, you know this pain firsthand.
Oh, absolutely.
So our mission for this deep dive is to provide a comprehensive guide to breaking those exact language barriers in global work. We are diving into a massive stress test conducted by Felix Römer and his team at smartkeys.org.
It's a fantastic piece of research, really.
It really is. They rigorously evaluated over 20 different AI translation tools across platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Webex, you name it.
Yeah, all the big ones.
So we are going to look at what actually works, the mechanisms behind why they work, and how you can seamlessly integrate these tools into your workflow without causing a total corporate revolt. All right, let's unpack this, starting with the biggest offender in virtual meetings, latency.
Latency really is the silent killer of collaboration. I mean, when the Smart Keys team set out to evaluate these 20-plus tools, they didn't just look at whether the software could translate a single vocabulary word correctly in a vacuum.
Right, because a dictionary can do that.
Exactly. They ran foundational testing criteria based on real-world, high-pressure scenarios. So they were looking at how the tools handled tone, how they managed contextual clues, and above all else, latency and language switching.
The switching part is huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
The ultimate stress test they used was the mid-sentence switch.
Wait, like switching languages halfway through a thought?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine someone speaking English, and then suddenly, without pausing at all, they switch to Chinese to address a different colleague on the call.
Oh, wow.
The system has to keep up without missing a single beat.
That mid-sentence switch sounds like a complete computational nightmare.
It is for legacy systems, yeah.
I always compare a laggy translation tool to, like, playing a glitchy video game or maybe watching a badly dubbed movie. You know that feeling?
Oh, totally. It's so jarring.
The lips stop moving on the screen, but the audio just keeps going for 2 more seconds. It completely shatters your immersion.
Yeah, it breaks the spell entirely.
In a meeting, if you have a 2-second delay, you just end up stepping on each other's sentences. You lose that crucial rhythm of human interaction. Which makes me wonder, and this is a pointed question for you, when you're just trying to get through a chaotic daily project stand-up, is lightning-fast speed actually more important than having 100% perfect textbook accuracy?
It's a really fantastic question, and the data from these trials points to a very clear answer. Yes, speed often trumps absolute perfection in those casual operational settings.
Really? Just get it out there fast.
Yeah, because low latency is what keeps the conversation feeling natural. When you introduce high latency, even if the eventual translation is grammatically flawless, you introduce awkward delays that cause people to second-guess themselves.
Right. They start wondering, did they hear me? Did I disconnect?
Exactly. They start repeating what they just said, or they simply disengage entirely, because the cognitive load of waiting and piecing the timeline together is just too high.
That makes a lot of sense.
If a translation gets the core meaning across instantly, the human brain is remarkably good at filling in minor grammatical gaps. But the human brain cannot comfortably bridge a 3-second silence.
So, mechanically speaking, how are these tools actually doing that? Like, how does an AI instantly know I've switched from English to Chinese without pausing to think about it?
It all comes down to parallel processing.
Okay.
Older systems, they used to wait for a full sentence to finish, run it through an acoustic model to figure out the language, and then run it through a language model to translate it.
Which takes forever.
Right? In computer time, it's an eternity. The modern tools, particularly the ones that excelled in these tests, are doing this concurrently. They are analyzing the acoustic signature of the speech in literally milliseconds.
That's incredible.
The standout tool for this kind of speed in the trials was a platform called JotMe.
JotMe, right.
Yeah, because of how it processes those audio streams, it adapted almost instantly to those mid-sentence language switches. It didn't stutter, it didn't buffer, it just kept the flow of the meeting perfectly intact.
If speed is the ultimate goal to keep that human rhythm, I imagine clunky desktop software isn't really going to cut it for a quick Tuesday stand-up.
Oh, definitely not.
Which brings us naturally to evaluating the actual software lineup.
Right.
The research breaks this product roundup down beautifully, basically matching specific tools to the scale of your business needs.
It's a great way to look at it.
Let's look at the first category, which is internal small to medium business meetings and sales calls. You just mentioned JotMe. Aside from the raw processing speed, how is it actually integrating without adding a ton of friction?
So the standout feature for JotMe is that it launches as an instant overlay directly over your existing meeting apps, whether that is Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, or Webex.
Okay, so it just sits on top.
Exactly. And it does this by capturing audio at the system level, which means it doesn't require an annoying bot to join the call as a participant.
Oh, that is so huge.
Yeah, and they offer a highly accessible free tier, with their Pro tier starting at just $9 a month. Another tool highlighted for this SMB tier is Tallo, which takes a slightly different approach.
How so?
Tallo actually uses one centralized AI bot to translate every speaker across those platforms. It's noted for having a very simple setup, which is particularly useful for cross-border sales calls and, say, onboarding new international employees.
I have to pause on the JotMe approach for a second because the whole no-bot thing is a massive psychological game changer.
It really is. People hate the bots.
Think about the stakes here. It is so intrusive when you are hosting a sensitive internal meeting or maybe a one-on-one HR performance review, and suddenly Note-Taker Bot 5000 enters the waiting room.
Yeah, everyone immediately tenses up.
It completely kills the psychological safety and intimacy of the call. Having it as a frictionless overlay that just captures system audio, it feels like the software is finally working for you rather than you having to awkwardly accommodate the software.
Precisely. It stays out of the way.
But obviously, a simple overlay isn't going to run a massive global summit. What happens when we scale up to, like, a massive webinar or a huge industry conference?
That is where you need those industrial-strength enterprise solutions. For that scale, the research points directly to Wordly AI and KUDO.
Okay.
Wordly is designed specifically for large-scale webinars and live events. It actually integrates directly with major event management platforms like Cvent.
Oh, that's handy for event organizers.
Extremely. Mechanically, it operates by piping live, translated transcripts directly to physical stage screens in a conference hall, and simultaneously to attendees' mobile devices via QR code.
So you just scan and read.
Exactly. Because it is an enterprise tool, it operates on, quote, base pricing.
Yeah.
KUDO, on the other hand, offers this deep native Microsoft Teams integration, plus embeddable widgets for virtual event platforms like Hopin. And get this, it supports over 200 languages.
Wait, hold on. 200 languages?
Yep.
I have to express some healthy skepticism there, to be honest. I've seen AI struggle with a thick regional accent in plain English. How on earth is an AI handling 200 languages without just hallucinating wildly or completely losing cultural nuance, especially in localized
The
dialects?
skepticism is entirely justified, believe me. And that is exactly why the platform architecture is so critical for complex events.
Okay, lay it on me.
The AI models can handle the broad, standard dialects of those languages, which is totally fine for general comprehension.
Right, the basics.
But for really complex, high-stakes stuff, like a hybrid event where you have a live keynote speaker on stage in Paris being broadcast to 10 different countries, the data highlights Interprify and KUDO's dual modality.
Dual modality.
Yeah, they don't just rely on the AI. They allow you to seamlessly blend the AI speech translation with remote simultaneous interpretation, or RSI, using actual human interpreters working remotely.
Ah, so it's a hybrid approach? It's kind of like the autopilot on an airplane?
That's a perfect analogy.
The AI handles the long, predictable cruising altitude of standard translations. But for the stormy weather idioms, intense cultural nuances, high-stakes negotiations, you need a human pilot holding the controls.
What's fascinating here is the strategic split between purely automated caption and hybrid models. I mean, automated AI captions are incredibly cost-effective, and they scale infinitely.
Right, you can deploy them anywhere.
But for those high-stakes environments, think an executive town hall, a legal deposition, a major brand product launch, you absolutely need that human intuition. You need someone who understands the exact corporate tone and regional subtleties.
A machine just can't read the room like a human can.
Exactly. Bringing in professional, human interpreters alongside the AI is absolutely critical. It is not an either-or scenario. It is about matching the modality to the risk level of the communication.
And just to ensure you have the full picture of the software landscape, there are some highly specialized niche tools worth noting from the article, too.
Yes, definitely.
There is Maestra AI, which is hyper-focused on creator workflows. It handles things like transcription, generating subtitles, dubbing video assets, and even voice cloning.
Which is wild technology, by the way.
It is, and that seems absolutely perfect for localizing asynchronous corporate training content. And then DeepL Voice is highlighted for providing incredibly smooth, natural-sounding audio translation, specifically optimized for mobile and within Microsoft Teams.
It is a remarkably robust landscape out there. But, simply knowing what the tools are is really only the first step. The real breakthrough happens when we transition from what these tools do to why they matter strategically to a business.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just about understanding each other in the fleeting moment of a live call.
Yeah.
It is entirely about what happens to that data afterward.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. We were talking about taking a 30-minute conversation that would normally just evaporate into the ether and instantly turning it into a permanent, searchable, reusable corporate asset.
Let's start with brand accuracy, which is a major strategic concern when you start archiving this data.
Oh, for sure.
If you are using AI to translate a highly technical sales pitch, you cannot have the AI mistranslating your flagship product's name or fumbling some proprietary industry acronym.
That would look so unprofessional.
Exactly. To solve this, tools like Wordly allow you to upload a 3,000-phrase glossary. KUDO has a word priority feature.
Okay, so you feed it your own dictionary.
Right. And under the hood, these glossaries work by applying token weighting at the inference layer of the large language model. They essentially force the AI to override its standard training data and prioritize your specific corporate vocabulary.
So preventing embarrassing or, frankly, legally problematic mistranslations.
Precisely.
That is huge. I mean, imagine an AI translating a pharmaceutical acronym into the name of a completely different competing drug during a pitch to foreign investors.
It would be a complete nightmare.
A total disaster. The glossary acts like an absolute guardrail. And building on that accuracy, the tools generate searchable, speaker-labeled transcripts and multilingual summaries. This isn't just an accessibility feature anymore. This feeds directly into business efficiency and automation.
Precisely. Let's trace that workflow. I mean, how does a transcript actually accelerate a business?
Well, think about a sales rep sitting in Chicago finishing a discovery call with a prospect in Germany.
Right?
Historically, they would have to take manual notes, try to parse the translated transcript, and spend an hour writing up a summary.
Such a time sink.
Now, the tool has already summarized the action items in English, and you can map those outputs straight into your CRM fields. Salesforce, HubSpot, whatever you use.
Yeah, instantly.
The follow-up email is drafted, the pipeline is updated, and the sales cycle accelerates instantly.
It turns a messy conversation into structured corporate knowledge.
Yeah.
But, and this is but the moment you start generating structured data from internal meetings, you immediately hit the wall of compliance.
Oh, yeah. The legal department gets involved.
For legal, HR, and executive teams, the administrative controls for privacy, data retention, and export are absolutely non-negotiable.
You definitely cannot have your CEO's proprietary 5-year strategy meeting getting scraped to train some public AI model somewhere.
Exactly. You have to verify that the vendor complies with strict standards. You'll see terms like SOC2 and GDPR thrown around a lot.
Right.
Just as a quick refresher, SOC2 basically means an independent auditor has verified that the software company actually has the security practices in place to protect your data, rather than just claiming they do.
A very important distinction.
And GDPR is the strict European privacy law dictating how personal data must be handled. You need to know exactly where that audio and transcript data is hosted, and more importantly, how quickly it gets deleted from their servers.
Which should be pretty fast, ideally.
And for the most sensitive board-level content, you utilize those human interpreters operating under strict non-disclosure agreements, paired with vendors that offer end-to-end encryption.
So it is really a layered defense strategy. You deploy the fast, cheap AI for the daily engineering stand-up, but you lock down the quarterly board meeting with encrypted, NDA-backed human interpretation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, data privacy and technical accuracy aren't just IT checkboxes anymore.
No, they're a foundation.
When you combine the ability to flawlessly communicate across borders with the absolute assurance that your intellectual property is secure, you give modern professionals a distinct, measurable competitive advantage in global markets.
Yeah.
You are moving and executing faster than competitors who are still struggling with language barriers and, manual translation delays.
Okay, so you know the tools, you understand the strategic value, and you have your security requirements locked in. Let's move from theory into reality for a second.
The fun part.
Exactly. How do you actually roll this out? Because nothing causes a corporate revolt faster than forcing 1,000 employees onto a new, clunky piece of software that just ruins their daily meetings.
It's the fastest way to kill adoption.
The playbook derived from this research is incredibly practical and forward-looking, and step one is all about risk mitigation, the pilot.
Starting small is crucial for change management. The playbook strongly recommends shortlisting just 2 vendors and running a strict 2-week pilot focused on a single meeting type.
Keep it contained.
Right. Do not try to overhaul the entire company's communication stack overnight. Use it exclusively for your daily stand-ups or just your initial sales discovery calls.
That makes a lot of sense.
This controlled environment allows you to judge the actual latency, the accuracy of the captions, and, most importantly, the user flow. Because if it takes your team 10 minutes just to configure the tool and route their audio before every single call, they will simply abandon it.
Which is exactly why the experts suggest testing something like Jotme or Tallow for speed first. Because of that low-friction entry point we talked about earlier, you completely avoid the setup fatigue.
Right. Utilizing something like Jotme's Chrome extension means the end user doesn't have to download heavy desktop software or configure, complicated virtual audio cables.
No one wants to do that.
You are just trying to prove the concept works and get employee buy-in.
And once that pilot is successful, you move into the broader operational setup. You map your meeting types to default languages so people aren't fumbling with drop-down menus every time.
Right.
You ensure the software allows that mid-call switching we discussed earlier. And for the big events, the webinars and hybrid conferences, the playbook highlights the absolute necessity of AV integration.
This is critical for physical events.
You have to confirm that the software can actually interface with the physical audio mixers in the room and that you have seamless QR code access. Attendees should be able to walk in, scan their phones, and instantly see captions in their native language without downloading a new app.
And we really cannot ignore the human element in this operational setup.
True.
Even with the most advanced AI in the world, live events are inherently chaotic and unpredictable.
Things will go wrong.
Always. The playbook strongly advises assigning a dedicated producer for these larger sessions. This person's sole operational focus is to monitor the captions, ensure the language channels are routing correctly, and handle any immediate vendor escalation if the technology glitches.
Because you absolutely do not want your CEO or keynote speaker trying to troubleshoot audio latency while they are standing on stage under the lights.
That is a nightmare scenario.
So what does this all mean? We have gone from the agonizing pain of a 3-second delay killing a deal to a fully mapped out strategy for seamless, secure global communication.
This raises an important question about organizational architecture and how companies intentionally map out their tech stack. You really have to evaluate your unique needs.
Right.
Do you just need simple web SDKs, which are essentially quick copy-paste pieces of code to add a translation widget to a browser? Or do you require full API workflows, which involve deep custom data plumbing to integrate the translation engine directly into your proprietary custom-built event software?
It's a big decision.
The technology itself is no longer the limiting factor. The limiting factor is how thoughtfully a business designs its communication workflow.
It is entirely about designing a system where the technology becomes invisible, right? And only the pure communication remains, which is a perfect place to land.
It really is. And as we look at how rapidly these tools are evolving, achieving near-zero latency, enforcing perfect domain accuracy through custom glossaries, integrating directly into our CRMs, it forces us to consider a rather profound shift in how we approach professional development.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We have to wonder, will learning a second language for global business soon transition from being a mandatory corporate survival skill to merely a niche personal hobby?
Wow. That is a wild thought to leave on. The idea that fluency might become a software feature rather than a resume requirement. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Smart Keys podcast. We really encourage you to subscribe to the podcast so you can stay ahead of the curve on the future of work, business efficiency, and productivity.
There's so much more coming.
And you absolutely must read Felix Römer's full article to see the complete breakdown of these tools, the exact mechanisms behind them, and their pricing models. The link to the smartkeys.org article is right there in the show notes. Go check it out and keep optimizing your workflow.